Because I'm a surfer, the idea of sediment supply to the coastline is very important. Lots of surf spots depend on river mouth sandbars, which will be affected if the sediment supply to the coast is reduced. And also, a lot of surf breaks are cobblestone point breaks, which also rely on medium, sometimes large stones, which are washed down the river and provide these nice cobblestone point breaks. One of the big problems with the building of dams is that the dam blocks the river, so it blocks the supply of sediment to the coastline. And if you block that off, then you're going to get massive coastal erosion. It's going to exacerbate the coastal erosion that is already occurring from large coastal storms. For example, in Portugal, since the large dams were built, which they were built about 60 years ago, starting from about 60 years ago, it's been calculated that the sediment supply to the coastline is about 8 times smaller than it was 60 years ago. So you're only getting an eighth of the sediment supply to the coastline of Portugal because of the building of these big dams. In 2013, 2014, we had an absolutely apocalyptic winter with some of the biggest storms ever recorded in the North Atlantic, wave heights up to 15 meters, and whole coastal communities were damaged. Coastal flooding everywhere, not just in Portugal, all the way around the Iberian Peninsula and all the way up and down the west coast of Europe. And the politicians are talking about investing hundreds of millions of euros to build more coastal defences. So on one hand, they're spending hundreds of millions of euros on protecting the coast, as they say. On the other hand, they're also spending hundreds of millions of euros building these dams, which are a large cause of the coastal erosion in the first place. So to me, that doesn't make sense.
This National Dam Programme was started in 2007, and the goals of the program supposedly were to decrease energy imports, to increase renewables, and to serve as a complement to wind energy production. Formally under the program, 10 dams were planned. One of those is under construction, that's Foz-Tua, that's the one we want to stop, because it's an environmental and social crime. People were told that these were necessary for the energy system. In fact, it is not, because it would only produce about 0.5% of total energy demand in Portugal. That's very little, and there are many ways that are much cheaper to produce this energy. So what happens is that if the dam program goes ahead, that will mean a huge investment that the consumers or taxpayers are going to have to pay for. Our estimate is that on average, that will imply an 8% increase in the energy bill to pay for energy that is not needed at all.
There is a dam being built in a beautiful wild river in Portugal, which people don't know because the people who are doing it don't know people to know about it. I work in a company that produces wine in the region where they're building this dam. And this is part of which is the Douro Valley, which is the oldest wine region in the world. So when this sequence of dams start being built, he actually is changing this river. Because there's dams, there's no more landscape, there's no more fish. There used to be sturgeons there used to be wild salmons. There's no more, I mean, and still people with 60 years old tell these things, you know, it's not a long time ago. But now the Douro River, it's not a river anymore, it's basically a succession of dams that slowly but surely are destroying the landscape.
In order to really save our last wild rivers, we really need people to act. We now have a campaign about to be launched in Portugal, and that will spread internationally, and you will be able to sign a letter telling UNESCO that UNESCO should act. When that call for action comes, just spread the message, sign the letter, tell everybody, tell your story to everybody, show all the videos that you have, spread the message. And just please send an email to us, well, send an email to all the organizations that you know that should tackle this issue, and of course join them so that we can prevent further destruction of what are our last wild rivers in Portugal.